So here is our fabric. This is the right side. Fold it like this, right side facing each other. Take your pattern. We are starting with our front pattern. Put the center fold line at the fold of your fabric as shown here. Then pin your pattern. Remember to leave 0.5 inches of seam allowance at the neckline, shoulder line, your arm side, but on the side seam leave 1 inch. Again, at the bottom of your blouse, leave 1 inch too. This is our back piece. The center back will align with the folded part of your fabric. We will have a zipper at the side seam. So we will fold at the center back. Again, leave 0.5 inches at the neckline, shoulder and arm side. But on the side seam as well as the bottom, leave 1 inch. For our sleeve pattern, make sure the right sides of the fabric faces each other and your pattern is on the wrong side of your fabric. Leave enough space at the sides of your pattern, that is the side seam. Now pin your pattern. We will have 0.5 inches at the sleeve head as seam allowance and 1 inch at the side seam as well as at the bottom. This is the lining for our blouse. We are going to cut 2 pieces, one for the front and we will do the same for the back. Our sleeve is not going to have any lining. Remember to observe the same. Leave 0.5 at the neckline, shoulder, arm side, but 1 inch at the side seam as well as at the bottom. So here is our blouse. The fabric and the lining have already been joined together. For the ruffle details on the shoulder, hem on all the sides except one and sew a loose stitch. Put your machine at the longest stitch and a low tension of like 3 to 4. Leave a long thread at the beginning when you are starting to sew so that you can have enough thread to pull. As you can see, the fabric has started to gather. Make sure you leave a long thread at this end too. Take one of the thread at the end of the fabric and start to pull it exactly as I do it here. As you pull, the fabric will start to gather more. Continue to pull until you get your desired length. You can pull only from one side or from both sides as I did here. Again, take one thread from this other side and start to pull until the gathers from this side meet those from the other side. Here is our fabric. Now start to distribute the gathers evenly. Adjust until you get the desired length. Now take the center of this piece of fabric and attach that center to the shoulder line, making sure that the right sides of this piece and the right side of your bodice faces each other. Then continue to attach the rest of it on the arm side, at the front as well as at the back. With the case of my blouse, I've attached it 6 inches long on both front and back. I'm done with the front. Now let me attach the back side. After making sure that you have attached it well on either side of your arm side, tie a knot for the end of those threads to make sure that you do not disturb the gathers while sewing. Now make a basting stitch. This is how it will look at the end. So before we continue, we need to join our sleeve too. Here is our sleeve. Mark the front and back sides. Join the sleeve to the bodice. Put the right side together, that is the right side of the sleeve and that of the bodice. But the right side of the sleeve will face the wrong side of the ruffle piece. I hope that is not very confusing to you. So before we continue, I just want to show you how the end product will be. This is how it will look. The ruffle piece will sit on top of the sleeve. Again, the center of your sleeve will be joined to the shoulder line. First, attach with pins. Attach both on the front and on the right side. Exactly as I do here, to make sure that the sleeve fits well to the arm side. So after pinning, you sew, and that is how it is going to look. Now do the same for this other side too. Here is our sleeve also ready. Now turn your blouse inside out. Make sure the fabric and the lining are well aligned, as well as the sleeve, and make a basting stitch. So now we are done with the basting stitch. Now pin the sleeve, making sure that they are well aligned. And then pin the blouse too. Making sure the front and the back piece are well aligned, and do the same for the other side. I have already pinned both sides, this side and that side. On our right, I'm going to sew from half of our sleeve all the way to the end, leaving a seam allowance of 1 inch. On our left, this is where we are going to put our zipper. We will start from half of our sleeve, and I'm going to leave a space. Like you can see here, I've left 1 inch from our arm side, and from the bottom we are going to leave 2 inches. So our zipper will start 2 inches from the bottom and end 1.5 inches just below the arms. Now Start to sew. Remember we left 1 inch of seam allowance on the sides. Sew from half of our sleeve all the way to the end. For the other side, start from half of the sleeve up to 1.5 inches just below the arm side. Sew the 2 inches at the bottom of your blouse. And then iron your seams so that they can stay flat. Now we're finished with ironing. It is time to insert our zipper. Our zipper is longer than our side seam, so our zipper will start at the arm side, and we will sew up to 2 inches just above the hem or the end of our blouse, and the rest will be cut. Start to pin your zipper. The right side of your zipper should face the right side of your fabric. Do the same for the other side too. So carefully sew your zipper. Here I have replaced my normal foot with a zipper foot to make this process easy. Now that we are done, let us cut the rest. So remember we left 1 inch for hem. This is how we are going to hem our blouse. But remember also our zipper cannot bend. So we have to cut it just slightly below the end of the hem. So first seal the zipper just above where you want to cut it. Seal it very careful. And now cut your zipper. We are almost done. Now let us finish with our sleeves. Remember we sew up to half of our sleeve. First, let us hem our sleeves. Start by pinning first the hem so that it is easier to sew. Now you can start to stitch. Here we have both of our sleeves. They are ready. Now it is time to put the elastic band on our sleeves. So I'm going to put this elastic band halfway between the distance of the elbow and the wrist. And you can see here I've measured, it is 10 inches. So double that, it is 20 inches. And the length of my elastic band, it is almost 15 inches. So it is less by 5 inches. So first attach your elastic band from one end before you start sewing. So now we are starting to sew our elastic band on the fabric. Pull your elastic band while you're sewing. The other hand should pull the fabric and the other hand should pull the elastic band. So they are like pulling on different directions. The more you pull the elastic band, the more it gathers, and vice versa. Sew until you finish the whole length of the sleeve. So this is how the elastic looks from the inside, and from the outside you can see the gatherings. Now let us finish with our sleeves. Remember, we sew half of the sleeve, and now let us finish the rest of it. So here we are. Our sleeves are ready. And the other sleeve too. Now let us finish our blouse by hemming the bottom of our blouse. So here is our blouse.